everyone, I'm Katrina, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all of the books that I read in the month of April and what I thought about them. April was a pretty good reading month. I participated in 2 readathons. There was the Tome Topple readathon and the Dewey's 24-hour readathon, and I did film wrap-up vlogs for both of those. So if you wanted to see my reading in action, then I will leave those linked in the description. I read a total of 7 books. 4 of those were graphic novels or mangas, or at least books that were half illustrated, so that definitely helped out, but just in general, I gave pretty good ratings this month. I really enjoyed all of the books that I read, so I was just very satisfied. I also posted 5 reviews. It has been a while since I've posted some book reviews, so it was really nice to chug out a few of those during Vita. I did reviews for The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ardier, based on a true story by Delphine Devigan, Raelia by Lynette Noni and Dracora by Lynette Noni, as well as Sabriel by Garth Nix. I actually read Dracora and Sabriel in April, so I'm just going to do a very brief overview of my thoughts, but I will have linked down below my spoiler-free reviews of those books if you wanted to hear a little more in depth my thoughts for those books. Sabriel by Garth Nix is about Sabriel, who lives below the wall in Ancelstiere, when she hears that her father has gone missing. In order to go find him, she has to travel above the wall into the Old Kingdom, which is a realm governed by free magic and charter magic, and the dead refuse to stay dead. I gave Sabriel 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really thoroughly enjoyed this. It was a great new start to a series. I loved the world that we explored in here. The magic system was really cool. I also really enjoyed the characters as well. We have a cat sidekick. His name is Mogget, and he is hilarious. I did find that the romance moved a little too fast, however, but aside from that, really enjoyed it. Dracora by Lynette Noni is the 3rd book in the Madoran Chronicles, so I won't go into the synopsis of this one, but the first book, Arcane, is described as Harry Potter meets Narnia meets X-Men. This series is just so incredibly fun and adventurous. We have so many lovable characters. The 3rd book does take the story in a slightly different direction, but we don't lose all of those awesome friendships and character development and world exploration, but there is a bit more of a darker undertone, which I really enjoyed. It's a bit of a roller coaster ride with everything that is thrown at you, so I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Continuing with the rest of the books that I read in April, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Finally. So this is a loose Beauty and the Beast retelling. We have Feyre, who is out hunting in the woods one day when she kills a wolf. That wolf was actually a fairy. Because she's killed this fairy, a beast arrives at her house and pretty much drags her above the wall into the fairy realms. I'm such a huge fan of fairy tale retellings, and really this was no different. I really enjoy seeing what of the original tale is taken, what is kind of twisted a little bit, what isn't included. I just always find it really fascinating seeing what authors do with familiar fairy tales. In addition to the Beauty and the Beast though, there was a couple of things from Cinderella that I picked up on, for example picking the lentils out of ash, which I thought was really cool as well, just a tiny little hint of something else. I'm also really fascinated by the fairy courts. We're only given like a really small hint of what there is above the wall in this book, so I'm really excited to see what more there is in the next books. Now what I will say, however, I went into this expecting a lot of Rhys, because all I hear about when people talk about these books is Rhysand. That's all I hear. Everybody's just drooling over Rhys, and I read this book and I got halfway and I was like, we haven't even met him yet. Does he even exist? Is this a figment of everyone's imaginations? Am I reading the wrong book? Was this printed incorrectly? So I asked around and people were like, oh yeah, he doesn't really become part of the story until about the last 1/3 of the book, and I was like, what? I went into this expecting to fall in love with Rhys, and we don't get much of him at all. So I think that going in with that expectation just made me a little bit sad, because I wanted more Rhys and I didn't get him, so I was a bit salty about that. That probably played a pretty solid part in me not being as invested in the romance in this. There were of course other factors as well, including like just the circumstances under which Feyre and the romantic interest meet, but overall I did enjoy this one. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but I am really looking forward to picking up A Court of Mist and Fury, because I think pretty much across the board people say that they enjoy Akamath more than the first book, so that has me very excited to continue on with the series. Very much looking forward to it, very much looking forward to getting more of Rhys, because where were you, boy? Where were you? Hansel and Gretel by Neil Gaiman and Lorenzo Mattotti. This is a retelling of the Hansel and Gretel story by the Brothers Grimm. We have Neil Gaiman's wonderful, whimsical writing alongside Lorenzo Mattotti's really dark, thick and just kind of eerie illustrations, which just made for a really fun and easy reading experience. This book is absolutely tiny. It's 45 pages and obviously half is illustrated, whereas the other half are words. I have read the original grim tale of Hansel and Gretel, but it was nice to familiarize myself again with it, just alongside Neil Gaiman's wonderful writing. So I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, just a really enjoyable read. I also picked up volumes 13, 14, and 15 of Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. This is a manga series that I am loving so much. This series follows the Elric brothers. We have this guy right here who is known as the Full Metal Alchemist. He has one arm and one leg made entirely out of metal. And then we also have his younger brother, which is a walking suit of armor. And their main goal is to try and restore the younger brother's body. Because while being a suit of armor does have its perks, it's not all that it's cut out to be. And being alchemists, they are able to manipulate the elements as well. I feel like I'm repeating myself every time I talk about these books just because they're so consistently enjoyable. There's just constant action. I really enjoy the humor that's in here as well because there is a lot of destruction and battles and some really kind of more somber moments as well, but we still do have that really lighthearted humor interwoven throughout it all. Really enjoy the illustrations as well. It's just super fast paced and I can't wait to continue reading these. I finally bought the remaining volumes of this manga series so I can whiz through them when I'm ready to devour the rest of them because just the stakes get higher and higher as the series goes on and I'm just like, how is it all going to end? I need to know. So I gave this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Would recommend. And lastly, we have volumes 6 and 7 of Saga by Brian K. Vaughan, illustrated by Fiona Staples. This is a kind of space opera graphic novel series in which we follow 2 characters who are of different species that are on opposing sides of a war, but they fall in love, they have a child, and they are on the run. They meet some really interesting characters along the way, and alongside that main storyline following those 2 characters, we do diverge a little bit and get to see an insight into what some of the other characters are doing that we meet in these series. Every time I say series, Siri is like, what can I help you with? I'm like, no, I wasn't talking to you, bitch. This series does have some mature content as well. There is a lot of violence and nudity and drug use, so that's definitely something to keep in mind if you're thinking about picking up these series, but I really enjoy it. Again, with the illustrations of this, absolutely adore it. It's very bright and colourful. There's just so many interesting characters that we meet along the way. Very fast-paced as well. I gave volume 6 4.5 stars and volume 7 5 stars, and I'm a little bit bitter about the fact that we don't have volume 8 because this ends on a really sad note and I want to keep reading, but I don't have it yet. But I'm gonna have to wait a little while because I am obviously buying the volumes rather than the individual chapters as they are released. Again, would recommend this graphic novel series. That wraps up this April wrap-up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned in this video, so feel free to chat in the comment section down below. But thank you so much for watching, and don't forget that I post a video every Tuesday and Friday, so be sure to hit that notification bell to be alerted when I do post a new video. But I guess until next time, guys, I'll talk to you in the comments. Bye!